They say, the lighter you pack, the easier your trip will be. And at first glance, it sounds logical: less weight, less stress, more freedom. But here's the trap. For seniors, some of these so-called smart shortcuts actually backfire, making your journey heavier, riskier, and far more stressful than you imagined. Think about it. Have you ever skipped packing something non-essential, only to realize later that leaving it behind turned into the biggest headache of your trip? It happens more often than you'd think, especially after 60, when comfort, safety, and dignity matter more than ever. That's why today we're pulling back the curtain on the myths that keep seniors trapped in travel struggles. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. One of these shortcuts nearly ruined a couple's long-awaited cruise, and it's a mistake you might be about to make too. Before we dive in, make sure you tap that like button and subscribe to Senior Travel Adventures, because adventure never expires, and your best trips should be ahead, not behind. This isn't about scaring you, it's about freeing you from the silent traps that airlines, hotels, and even your own suitcase set for you. As we go through these, I want you to think about your own habits. Do you have a shortcut you swear by? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know if it's truly helpful or secretly holding you back. And stay tuned, because shortcut number 4 is the one that left an entire dining hall staring at a couple who thought they had packed perfectly. That single choice turned an evening of joy into a night of embarrassment. Thaddeus Merrow was the kind of man everyone in his Missouri town respected. At 68, he'd hung up his carpenter's apron after decades of steady work building porches, repairing barns, and leaving his careful touch on nearly every neighbor's home. Years of stretching a dollar had shaped him. He prided himself on thrift, practicality, and never wasting space. When he finally booked a long-awaited European river cruise with his wife, he saw packing as just another project to tackle. Why lug extras when you could streamline and outsmart the system? That's how he convinced himself that his shortcuts would make the trip effortless. But as the days unfolded, those choices began to unravel. His single pair of all-purpose shoes gave out in the middle of a cobblestone walking tour, leaving him limping back to the ship with sore arches and a growing blister. The neat little pill baggies he thought were clever? They sparked suspicion at airport security, forcing him into an uncomfortable, time-consuming secondary screening in front of strangers. And the clothes he left behind to save space? That decision left him red-faced at a formal dinner when he was quietly asked to step aside. Thaddeus's story is more than just one man's missteps. It's the story of countless seniors who believe that cutting corners will buy them comfort, when in reality it can rob them of it. His good intentions mirrored what so many of us think, that packing light equals traveling smart. But the truth, especially after 60, is more complicated. Seniors face unique challenges, mobility, health, and dignity, that younger travelers rarely stop to consider. Each shortcut he took became a lesson, sometimes painful, always memorable. And that's why his journey matters. Thaddeus became living proof that shortcuts aren't always short, they can stretch into long regrets. Through his misadventures, we'll uncover the packing traps that seem smart at first glance but quietly set seniors up for stress, embarrassment, or even danger. Shortcut 1. Wearing the same shoes all trip. You only need one pair of comfortable shoes, right? That's the shortcut many seniors swear by when getting ready for a big trip. After all, shoes are bulky, they take up precious suitcase space. And if you've got that one trusty pair of sneakers or walking shoes that feel broken in, why complicate things? But here's the problem: one pair is never enough. What seems like the simplest hack quickly turns into one of the most painful mistakes seniors make on long journeys. Imagine Thaddeus on his European cruise. He thought his sturdy walking shoes would handle everything: city tours, ship decks, evening strolls. But by day 3, the cobblestones of Prague had turned those shoes into torture devices. His ankles swelled, blisters formed on his toes, and every step felt like a nail being driven into his foot. Worse still, one rainy afternoon left his only pair soaked through. He spent the next day walking in damp shoes, which not only smelled awful but also raised the risk of fungal infections, a real concern for seniors with slower healing and more sensitive skin. This is the emotional truth. When your feet hurt, your whole trip hurts. Seniors don't just lose comfort, they lose mobility, independence, and the ability to enjoy the very experiences they saved and dreamed for. A ruined day of sightseeing might mean missing out on that cathedral you always wanted to see, or that once-in-a-lifetime chance to stroll through a vineyard. For Thaddeus, the pain turned what should have been a highlight of his retirement into a series of exhausting calculations. Should he sit this one out, or push through and risk making things worse? The solution is simple but powerful: always rotate your shoes. Pack at least 2 pairs, even if it feels bulky. Think of it as packing insurance for your feet. Choose 1 pair for heavy walking and another lighter pair for evenings or casual strolls. If 1 pair gets wet, you have a dry backup. If one starts to rub, you can switch and give your feet relief. Consider slip-ons for airport security, sandals for warmer climates, and supportive sneakers for tours. The small extra space in your luggage can mean the difference between enduring your trip and truly enjoying it. So before you convince yourself that 1 pair will carry you through, remember Thaddeus. His shortcut didn't save him time or space, it cost him peace, comfort, and memories. And ask yourself, is it worth risking your whole journey for the sake of saving room for 1 more shirt? Have you ever faced a shoe disaster on a trip? Share your story in the comments, I guarantee you're not alone. Shortcut 2. Rolling clothes save space. Rolling is the ultimate packing hack. You've probably heard that line repeated in magazines, YouTube tutorials, and even by fellow travelers who swear it's the one trick that will transform your suitcase. And for years, Thaddeus believed it too. He rolled every shirt, every pair of pants, every sweater, convinced he was saving space and making unpacking effortless. But here's the uncomfortable truth: what works for a 25-year-old backpacker doesn't always work for seniors. Rolling clothes may look neat, but for older travelers it creates a set of hidden problems that can make your trip harder, not easier. First, let's talk about wrinkles. Rolled clothes don't just fold into tidy little cylinders, they compress under the weight of other items, pushing creases deeper into the fabric. Thaddeus discovered this the hard way when he unpacked in Vienna to find his dress shirt so crumpled it looked like it had been chewed by the river itself. No hotel iron could fully rescue it, and he felt embarrassed stepping into the dining room looking rumpled when everyone else was polished. For seniors, appearance is more than vanity. It's about confidence, dignity, and feeling comfortable in social settings. Second, rolling adds strain. To get a tight roll, you're pressing, twisting, and bending, motions that can be awkward or even painful for stiff joints, arthritic hands, or sore backs. What seems like a space saver quickly becomes a chore before the journey even begins. And when you arrive, instead of pulling out neatly folded outfits, you're digging through a bundle of fabric rolls, bending and tugging to find that one shirt hidden in the middle. For someone like Thaddeus, who already struggled with occasional back pain, crouching over the suitcase in a cramped cabin made him regret every roll. And let's not forget circulation, inside your suitcase, that is. Rolled clothes stack awkwardly, creating dead spaces between each cylinder. Far from maximizing room, they often waste it. The illusion of saving space masks the truth: you're packing less efficiently and working harder to keep everything contained. So what's the better option? Fold gently and use packing cubes. These lightweight organizers separate outfits, reduce friction, and make unpacking as simple as sliding a drawer open. No deep wrinkles, no heavy bending, no wasted space. Want your evening clothes separate from your sightseeing gear? Use a cube. Need quick access to pajamas after a long flight? Use a cube. The system does the heavy lifting, not your body. Thaddeus eventually learned that packing smart isn't about fancy tricks. It's about reducing stress on your body and making travel feel effortless. His trip shifted the moment he stopped rolling and started organizing. And here's the question for you: have you ever believed a so-called hack only to find it caused more hassle? Share your packing lesson in the comments. It might save another traveler from repeating it. Shortcut 3. Downsizing medications into tiny bags. Why carry bulky pill bottles when little baggies work just fine? It sounds clever, doesn't it? A neat row of tiny plastic bags, each packed with the pills you'll need for the trip. Less space in your suitcase, less rattling in your carry-on, and at first glance, it feels organized. Thaddeus thought the same before his river cruise. He slipped his daily medications into small resealable baggies, labeled them with a black marker, and tucked them neatly in his shaving kit. But that shortcut became one of his most stressful mistakes, and it's one many seniors unknowingly repeat. Here's the hidden danger. Unmarked or unlabeled pills can look suspicious to airport security or customs officials. TSA officers don't see your neat little system as efficiency, they see a row of unidentified substances. Thaddeus learned this when his bag was pulled aside at a busy European airport. In full view of a line of impatient travelers, he was asked to explain what each pill was and why he had no official container. Not only did it hold him up for nearly 40 minutes, but the humiliation of being questioned about his health in public stayed with him long after. And it's not just about embarrassment. Unmarked medications can be confiscated outright, leaving you without essential prescriptions in a foreign country. Imagine landing for a 2-week trip only to realize your heart medication, blood pressure pills, or insulin has been taken away because it wasn't in the proper packaging. For seniors, missing even a single dose can mean more than inconvenience. It can mean a medical emergency. Thaddeus's baggies were eventually returned, but the scare was enough to remind him how fragile peace of mind can be when your health is on the line. The solution is simple but critical. Always travel with medications in their labeled containers or bring a pharmacy printout. Many pharmacies will happily provide smaller, travel-friendly bottles with your name, the prescription details, and dosage instructions clearly printed. These labels act as your proof of legitimacy at borders and checkpoints. If carrying full bottles feels bulky, keep at least a portion of your medication in the official container and supplement with a clearly documented list. For added security, pack a copy of your prescription or ask your doctor for a travel note, especially if you're carrying controlled substances. Keep everything in your carry-on, not checked luggage, so it's always with you. A little extra bulk is worth the peace of mind of knowing you won't be stranded without critical medicine. Thaddeus realized later that his shortcut didn't save space. It created anxiety, risk, and wasted time. Seniors have earned the right to travel with confidence, not to be treated like suspects for simply managing their health. So before you trade bottles for baggies, ask yourself, is shaving a few inches of space in your suitcase worth risking your safety? Have you ever had a travel scare with medications? Share your story in the comments. You never know who your experience might protect. Shortcut 4. Skipping formal clothes. Who needs formal wear? It's just wasted luggage space. That's the thought many seniors have when trying to lighten their suitcase for a long trip. And on the surface, it feels practical. Why pack a suit jacket or a dress you'll only wear once? Thaddeus made that exact choice on his European river cruise. He carefully measured every ounce of his luggage, trimming down to what he thought was essential: walking shoes, layered shirts, and a few pairs of slacks. He proudly told his wife, "We don't need to drag along fancy clothes. This is about comfort, not appearances." But the truth hit harder than he expected. On the 4th night of the cruise, the ship hosted its celebrated captain's dinner, a tradition guests had been talking about since day one. His wife wore her best blouse, borrowed from her sister, but when they reached the entrance, Thaddeus was quietly pulled aside. His polo shirt and travel pants didn't meet the dress code. With embarrassed apologies, the staff asked him to step out. He watched as couples his age and older strolled in, laughing, taking photos, clinking glasses. Thaddeus and his wife spent the evening in the buffet lounge, picking at food they didn't want, their disappointment as heavy as the silence between them. For seniors, this isn't just about fashion. It's about dignity, inclusion, and the joy of shared moments. Missing out on one dinner may not sound devastating, but when you've invested thousands into a once-in-a-lifetime trip, every memory matters. That night stayed with Thaddeus, not because he cared about dressing up, but because he realized how much it meant to his wife, who had been looking forward to that evening for months. Travel isn't only about sights, it's about connections, traditions, and honoring experiences. The solution is surprisingly simple. Always pack at least one lightweight, wrinkle-free formal outfit. A packable blazer, a simple dress, or even a tie and button-down shirt can make all the difference. These items don't have to be heavy or take up much space. Modern travel fabrics are designed to fold small and resist wrinkles. Slip them into a garment bag or cube, and you'll always be prepared for that unexpected formal dinner, concert, or even an elegant restaurant in a city you've dreamed of visiting. Thaddeus later said that buying a wrinkle-free jacket was one of the smartest decisions he made after that trip. It gave him confidence, allowed him to participate fully, and made his wife beam with pride. Seniors don't travel just to get by, they travel to savor experiences. And sometimes, a single outfit can open doors to the very memories you'll cherish most. So before you dismiss formal wear as wasted space, remember Thaddeus standing outside that dining hall, wishing he'd made a different choice. Ask yourself, is one outfit too much to carry, if it means carrying a lifetime of regret? Shortcut 5. Buying toiletries at the destination. Why waste space? You can buy shampoo anywhere. It sounds logical, almost too easy. Skip the bottles, save the wait, and just pick up what you need once you arrive. Thaddeus believed this one too. He thought his European river cruise would be the perfect time to travel light, so he tossed only a toothbrush and razor into his bag, telling his wife they'd just grab toiletries at the first port. But what seemed like a clever shortcut quickly turned into an exhausting, expensive, and frustrating lesson. The first snag came before the ship even set sail. Their connecting flight was delayed, leaving them barely enough time to board the cruise. That meant no stop at the pharmacy as planned. When they finally made it on board, the complimentary hotel-style toiletries were laughable, tiny bottles of harsh shampoo and watered-down lotion that smelled like chemicals. His wife, who had sensitive skin, broke out in a rash after just one use. Thaddeus himself found the soap so drying that his hands cracked, making even the simplest tasks, like gripping railings or handling luggage, uncomfortable. When they tried to shop at the next port, the situation didn't improve. Foreign brands were confusing, labels were in languages they couldn't read, and the prices were shocking. A small bottle of medicated shampoo that would have cost $5 back home was nearly triple the price in a tourist district. Worse, they couldn't be sure if the ingredients were safe or would trigger more reactions. What should have been a relaxing adventure turned into a scavenger hunt for toiletries, eating up time they'd rather have spent exploring castles, museums, and vineyards. For seniors, this isn't just about convenience, it's about health and peace of mind. Skin becomes more sensitive with age, and allergies or reactions can strike faster and last longer. The wrong lotion, soap, or hair product can mean days of irritation, discomfort, and embarrassment on what should be a trip of a lifetime. Thaddeus learned firsthand that skipping toiletries didn't save space, it stole joy. The solution is simple: pack travel-sized essentials you trust. Drugstores and pharmacies offer senior-safe items in TSA-approved containers, from sensitive skin lotions to medicated shampoos. Keep them in a resealable plastic bag to prevent leaks, and tuck them into your carry-on so they're always within reach. Think beyond basics. If you use prescription creams, dental rinse, or a favorite moisturizer, bring them. The peace of mind is worth far more than the inch of space you save. Thaddeus later admitted that one of the smartest changes he made was creating a small comfort kit of toiletries he knew worked for him. It fit neatly into a single cube and eliminated the stress of searching or settling for whatever the hotel provided. His trips became smoother, his wife felt cared for, and their focus shifted back to making memories instead of solving problems. So before you shrug off toiletries as easy to buy later, ask yourself, do you want your vacation spent chasing down shampoo, or chasing sunsets on the deck of a ship? Shortcut 6. Packing old heavy bags. Why spend on a new suitcase? The old one still works. That's the mindset many seniors carry into their travels. After all, that sturdy suitcase may have survived decades of road trips, family vacations, and flights across the country. It feels dependable, familiar, even sentimental. Thaddeus thought so too. He dusted off his 20-year-old case from the attic, proud that he didn't need to waste money on something new. But what he didn't realize was that dragging that outdated piece of luggage across airports and cobblestone streets would turn his dream trip into a painful ordeal. The problems began almost immediately. At the airport check-in, the zipper broke under the strain of overstuffing, forcing Thaddeus to awkwardly tie the case shut with a spare belt. The embarrassment of fellow passengers watching him struggle was only the start. Once they landed, the bag's outdated two-wheel design made it nearly impossible to maneuver through the long terminals. Every tug felt heavier, every corner an obstacle course. By the time he reached baggage claim, his back was sore, his shoulders ached, and his patience had worn thin. And then came the real disaster. While boarding the river cruise, one of the old wheels finally snapped off, leaving him dragging the suitcase like dead weight. A kind fellow traveler helped him carry it up the gangway, but the humiliation stuck with him. His thrifty decision to make do hadn't saved money, it had stolen energy, comfort, and dignity. Seniors like Thaddeus know how precious mobility is, and every ounce of unnecessary strain adds up. A pulled muscle or strained back isn't just inconvenient, it can ruin a vacation, or worse, leave lasting pain long after the trip ends. The solution is clear: invest in lightweight, senior-friendly luggage with spinner wheels and sturdy handles. Modern suitcases are designed with travelers over 60 in mind, featherlight yet durable, with 360-degree wheels that glide effortlessly across airport floors and hotel lobbies. Telescoping handles reduce bending, while reinforced zippers prevent those embarrassing mid-trip breakdowns. Some even include ergonomic grips to ease joint strain and built-in expanders to reduce the need for overstuffing. Yes, upgrading comes at a cost, but it's an investment in your comfort, independence, and safety. Think about it this way: you've saved, planned, and waited for this trip. Do you really want an old, heavy bag dictating how much you can enjoy it? Thaddeus eventually replaced his suitcase after that humiliating cruise experience, and the difference was night and day. Suddenly, he could move freely through terminals, keep up with group tours, and arrive at destinations without aching shoulders. Travel should feel liberating, not like a chore. Seniors deserve luggage that supports them, not works against them. So before you cling to that trusty old bag, ask yourself, is it truly serving you, or are you serving it? Don't let outdated luggage weigh down your adventure, because after 60, every ounce of freedom matters more than ever. Shortcut 7. Overstuffing the carry-on. If it fits, it's fine. That's the lie travelers, especially seniors, often tell themselves when cramming the last sweater, book, or pair of shoes into their carry-on. After all, airlines allow a certain size, so as long as you can zip it shut, you've beaten the system, right? Thaddeus thought the same on his trip. He stuffed his carry-on until the seams stretched, telling himself it would save him checked bag fees and give him everything he needed at arm's length. But what seemed clever quickly turned into one of the most exhausting mistakes of his journey. The first problem came at security. Lifting the heavy bag into the TSA bin felt like hoisting bricks. His arms trembled, his shoulders ached, and the sharp motion left him rubbing his lower back. Seniors don't bounce back from strains the way they once did, and one wrong move in a crowded checkpoint can throw off an entire trip. Then came the embarrassment. While trying to fish out his laptop, items spilled out in front of impatient travelers, exposing socks and toiletries he'd jammed in just in case. But the real trouble struck on the plane. Thaddeus struggled to lift the overstuffed carry-on into the overhead bin. A younger passenger eventually stepped in to help, but the humiliation stung. He spent the flight worrying about how he'd retrieve it again without slowing down everyone behind him. And when turbulence hit, he realized that heavy bags above your head aren't just inconvenient, they're a hazard. Seniors risk serious injury if a poorly stowed bag falls. What started as a shortcut for convenience had turned into a constant source of stress and vulnerability. This is the deeper truth. Overstuffing doesn't save you from hassle, it creates it. Seniors especially pay the price in sore muscles, reduced mobility, and unnecessary risks. Instead of packing smart, you're packing yourself into pain. The solution? Keep your carry-on light and essentials only. Think of it as a survival kit, not a storage unit. Medications, travel documents, a change of clothes, snacks, and personal comforts like reading glasses or a tablet, these belong in your carry-on. Everything else can live in your checked luggage. For balance, add a personal item like a small backpack or crossbody bag. These are easier to manage, distribute the weight, and keep immediate essentials, like your passport or phone, right where you need them. Thaddeus eventually learned that the pride of fitting everything into a carry-on wasn't worth the cost. When he switched to a lighter bag, travel instantly felt easier. He walked more confidently through airports, breezed through security, and never again worried about straining his back in front of strangers. Seniors deserve ease, dignity, and freedom on their journeys, not the burden of hauling around what amounts to a portable closet. So before you push down on that zipper and convince yourself it's fine, ask, is it really worth trading peace of mind for a few saved inches of space? Or is it time to lighten the load and travel with comfort, not clutter? Thaddeus Merrow's European cruise had been meant to celebrate his retirement, a long-awaited adventure with his wife after decades of steady work. But what began with excitement soon became weighed down by choices that felt clever at the time but unraveled at every turn. The single pair of shoes that left his feet aching. The rolled clothes that came out wrinkled and made him feel underdressed. The baggies of medication that nearly stranded him at security. The missing formalwear that barred him from a night of joy. The toiletries that sparked skin irritation. The old heavy suitcase that gave him back pain. And the overstuffed carry-on that embarrassed him in front of strangers. Each shortcut stacked into a mountain of frustration. What he thought was packing smart had nearly robbed him of the very trip he worked so hard to earn. But here's where his story turns. Thaddeus realized the problem wasn't that he packed too much or too little, it was that he packed wrong. He went home determined to change. Instead of clinging to outdated hacks, he invested in lightweight luggage designed for seniors, learned to fold clothes into packing cubes instead of rolling them, and created a small travel kit of toiletries and medications that wouldn't raise questions or cause stress. On his next trip, a long-awaited road journey through the American South, he felt something he hadn't before: freedom. His feet didn't ache, his bag glided across hotel lobbies, and he unpacked without strain or embarrassment. That's when Thaddeus put it best: now, every trip feels lighter, not because I carry less, but because I carry right. For seniors watching, his lesson is a powerful reminder. Travel after 60 isn't about rushing, proving yourself, or cutting corners. It's about protecting your comfort, your health, and your dignity. It's about making space for the memories, not cramming your suitcase with regret. When you stop chasing shortcuts and start embracing smarter habits, the journey transforms. The weight lifts, not just from your luggage, but from your shoulders. Traveling after 60 isn't about shortcuts, it's about freedom, comfort, and safety. That's the message Thaddeus carried home, and it's the gift every senior deserves to give themselves. If these packing traps opened your eyes, hit like right now and share this with a friend over 60 who deserves smoother travel. And subscribe to Senior Travel Adventures, because adventure never expires.